That's all we need.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Tigers Down Under. After a couple of technical difficulties earlier in the evening, we made it through to the episode, and I'm joined by Dylan. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Very good, very good. Two very impressive wins by City in the space of a couple of days, and sort of starting to cement ourselves in the top six. It's all starting to become a little bit more real now.
I know. Just seeing all the stats coming out that like best we've done, I think we've ever done in terms of winning away, winning away form, and just all these other stats, compared to like the last times that we've been able to break into the Prem. Yeah, not saying that it's a for sure thing, but I don't know, the vibes are pretty high. It feels pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of stats floating around at the moment. I think we're one of the best, form away sides in all of Europe. We've got the best away performance in the entire championship. Jurkovic has now managed, I think he's managed more games than Sayers now, and has something like 7 more wins than Sayers in the same amount of games, and officially has the best win percentage of any permanent City manager ever. So, a lot of remarkable stats. But look, we'll start with the Southampton game, which was probably the one that was, I guess, the more pessimistic one coming into it in terms of had a lot of injuries, didn't really know what to expect in terms of depth, in terms of bench options, anything like that. And even though Southampton were on a 6-game a winless run, it felt like a bit of a, maybe not a shock result, but I feel like the performance, especially after some of the recent performances, was a really impressive one. Yeah,
I didn't get to catch that game, but I was sort of reading all the messages as they were coming through, and
our chat is so great, right? Because even if you miss the game, you can just read back through the chat, and it's like it's live reactions to the game.
Exactly, yeah. I sort of, I keep up with it somewhat, so even if I don't get to see the game, but I didn't have too many expectations on this Southampton fixture. I think, in my mind, it was like a draw would be great, but to go out there and play the way that we did, just based off some of the highlights I watched, they're really proud of sort of where we're at as a team. And I think I mentioned before, I haven't been able to catch too many of their games this season, which is the wrong season to be doing that, because seems like we're playing really well. And, just even watching, we'll get to it in a second, but watching this morning, it was, wow, like what a whole different team compared to where we were at this time last year.
Yeah, and I think the thing with playing a side like a Southampton, who are such an expansive side, pass the ball around a lot, they're not too aggressive. It gave us much more opportunity, nice pitch as well, gave us a lot more opportunity to play. They had a couple of scrambly chances. I don't know if you caught on the highlights. There's a couple of times where they had a few goal-mouth scrambles where you kind of look at them and go, no idea how they haven't scored there. But, you take the chances as they come, and Joseph putting the ball away after McBurney wins it really well. It's a cracking finish from Joseph as well when you sort of consider that it's somewhat of an open net. So you go, he doesn't have to, leather it top corner, but gets it on his wrong foot, and it's as clean as you could, as clean as you'd like for a strike.
Yeah, and just sort of what you were saying about Southampton, I can always tell when, something, the wheels aren't turning for another team is when you start seeing all of the, say on Twitter, all the, I guess, Southampton fans, they were talking about like, what just happened, like where we shouldn't be, missing all those shots or whatever. And it seemed like a really good game for us in the end there. And I don't really have a top 3 players for that based off the highlights, but yeah.
No, that's all good. I'll give mine in a second, but I don't know if you caught Jurkovic's comment on Hughes getting the goal from the corner, and Jurkovic said that he'd said to the players, anyone that scores from a corner, like from a set piece, he'll give them a little bonus out of his own pocket, which I thought was quite funny.
Awesome. That's great.
It's great for Hughes. Lundstrom back off the bench. Like, we'll talk about the Preston game with Gelhardt coming off the bench, but starting to get a couple of injured players back as well. Good to see Lundstrom back fit and firing, which was good to see. A couple of injury concerns, I guess, for Joseph, Coyle and Famewo. Though Coyle and Famewo played this morning, it's really just Joseph, hopefully not too serious. But yeah, all in all, I think it was our first league double over Southampton since the 50s or something as well. So just all these crazy stats.
Yeah. No, I saw that. Yeah, it's just, everything's sort of lining up at the moment, and it feels good to be hopeful that, the wheels are in motion for getting into the Prem. So I'm going to write it in.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, votes from this game, 3 votes I gave to Miller. I thought it was really interesting, actually, because I think during the game, Burnsy was saying we were playing more of a 4 at the back. But when watching the game, it felt as if while we were defending, Miller was certainly dropping back as almost like a left wing back, as a back 5, which I think was to really protect Famewo, who I think after the... which game? There was a game where I think it was the Stoke game, where he conceded the goal down his left-hand side. Having Miller dropping in, having played left wing back before for Preston, clearly familiar with the role, was clearly quite comfortable there. But then when we were attacking, he was certainly getting forward into almost like a front 3 with Joseph and McBurney. So he was doing a lot of running in the game, but I thought it was probably his best game since his hamstring injury for us. So terrific from him. Slater got the 2 votes. I thought Slater, again, really terrific. He's been called out in a couple of neutral podcasts that I listen to as well, sort of saying he's one of those guys that he doesn't get a whole lot of attention because he's just sort of that workhorse player. But
7 out of 10.
Yeah, that's right. Like, it's a 7 out of 10. It's the, you have your flashy players doing things, getting forward like Crooks or whoever, but you need Slater to be there to, break up the play or win the ball back or do whatever. And he's just having a terrific season, which is great to see. And then I gave the 1 vote to Hughes. I thought, terrific header at the back post, really assured display at centre-back as well, having a terrific season. So, couldn't go past those 3 for the votes. I don't really like calling out referee performances most of the time, but I just thought the ref in this one was... I mean, we've had him before, and he's not a great ref at this level. I will say, though, in saying that, the penalty decision for Miller, I actually thought was the correct call. I think I've seen a few people saying that the defender catches the back of Miller's foot, but I think Miller goes down a bit too softly there. So I actually think it was probably a rare good call by the ref on the day.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught the incident, but that was that one. Okay, well, let's talk Preston then from this morning, which we were both up to watch, and it was about as comprehensive a performance as you could hope for. 3-0 away from home. Didn't really give them too many opportunities. Hirakawa on debut off the bench gets the assist for McBurney as well.
This is second touch, awesome I think it was. It was like this game was a really fun game to watch. It sort of seemed like I think Preston had a few chances, but we just smothered them a little bit. I think, at one point we were equal on, I think, shots, but then they had 0 on target compared to us. I think we had 2 out of 5 or something at one point in the game in the first half. But yeah, so it was a really fun game to watch, and it's cool to see who was back this game compared to
Gelhardt on the bench.
Yeah, he came back.
Or Hirakawa, but I thought there was somebody else back as well. But yeah, maybe just Gelhardt.
Yeah, it was great seeing Liam Miller. Sort of what you were saying, where he was dropping in for the Southampton game. I thought I saw him run a lot this game too, and he was everywhere. And I think he went off around the 67th or something. I can't remember when he went off in the second half, but yeah, he's putting in some mammoth efforts, and it just seems like everyone else is gelling alongside as well. So
yeah, and another one to put in an effort, Akintola. I mean, the only change for the game with him coming in for Joseph, and runs basically the length of the field to supply the assist for Miller. Very impressive. And look, even just his general play, like there was a couple of instances he picked the ball up and he moved around his man or sort of dribbled past his man or shifted the ball really well across his body to open up the play. I thought it was just about his best performance for City, which was really good for him. I mean, hopefully not a serious injury that forced him off, but it's one of those displays where you sort of think, if you're a team that's going to get promoted and you just need everyone sort of doing their bit, they don't have to be a 10 out of 10 each week, but if you get a 9 out of 10 performance from an Akintola, as a once a month sort of display, that's sort of what you need, and that's what we're sort of getting at the moment.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of players just sort of pulling their weight, and we were just talking about Slater. Is I called him a 7 out of 10, but it's more like this season he's been just consistently good. And then, like you said, there's a few others have just sort of pushed past him, I guess, for, what you might consider better players for each game. But, and I think that sort of goes onto Serge's style, maybe, with how much trust he has in the boys to sort of do what they need to do. And obviously we didn't see that with the last couple of managers, but, it's been brilliant to see how this team has just started flourishing the way that they have.
And talking about players who sort of have their odd great performance, I thought Famewo, another player, probably had his best game in a City shirt, like Joseph's goal against Southampton. I mean, his finish for that second goal was just a terrific shot. Assisted by McBurney, really selfless play by McBurney to lay the ball off to him. But yeah, terrific game from Famewo, I thought.
And this wasn't an easy game, coming into it either. And, it just bounced pretty quickly from what day was Southampton? That was on
Saturday. So it's only, 3 days?
Yeah.
4 days.
And so for them to come out to, I think they were pretty much, we were fifth and they were sixth, Preston or something like that. So it wasn't going to be an easy one. Like we do have a good record against Preston, I believe. But, it just sort of shows the confidence in all the players and, especially with these players finally getting back from injury. I think we've got a good run ahead, I think.
Yeah, and touching on that, the fifth versus sixth element of this, I mean, it was a crazy set of fixtures because you had Coventry playing Millwall, you had Middlesbrough tomorrow morning playing Stoke. You've got, what was the other one? It was Ipswich against Bristol City as well. All sides in and around that top six. We think if you're one of the winning sides, fantastic, because everyone else around some of the teams around you definitely dropping points. It just meant there was all that pressure on being one of those winning sides. And so it's a massive one because it now means that we're 4 points or something clear of seventh place. Only a couple of points off the top two if Middlesbrough are to drop points against Stoke tomorrow. So makes it such a fascinating sort of like, I guess, shape of the league table at the moment. Yeah,
it's seeming pretty tight there, and well, even then, like Millwall, they're on 28 games. We're on 27. Preston, they're on 28, and so Millwall's only a point behind us, and then Preston 4 points. But it's I think we've got a good margin there, and if we can just keep keeping up, that'd be great. But just even like I said before, like the shots on target. Just looking at the stats now, like Preston have got 14 shots, 5 on target, and we had 16 shots with 8 on target, and so they actually have most of the possession now that I'm looking at it, and so it didn't feel like a even game per se. Like I thought we looked more dominant, but there definitely were plenty of chances that they could have taken. But like I said, we just smothered them, and I think Panda had a good time as well. And I think that's it. I think Panda had a really good performance in terms of claiming loose balls, or I think the defense did well as well to step up when necessary to really pressure Preston as well. And I think to your point, like about the shots on target, I think the fact that it was only 3-0, and arguably in another day it could have been more than that, because I think we did have a number of there was a chance later on where Hirakawa shifted to the left and looked just as proficient on the left as he had on the right, and fed McBurney, and McBurney had a couple, like a double save or something from the Preston keeper, where you think, on another day that goes in and that's another goal. But touching on Hirakawa, I mean, like coming off the bench on his debut, as we said before, second touch, bicycle kick goal for McBurney. It's one of those nights where you just kind of go, like, everything just sort of falls into place, and it's just an unbelievable performance. You look at these. I hope to be looking at those, like, these memories when we are in the Prem. We'll get there. Just because you sort of, I hope to God we make it, and once we are there, regardless of what happens, I guess you get to look back and see, like, okay, well, what was the season before? Like, what was it that got us
the
there?
journey?
you remember all the highlights.
Were you a City supporter for the League One promotion season?
I think that was my first season.
Season
that I started getting into it. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's another season to exactly that point where you kind of look back at some of those games and think, oh, that's such like a dominant display, and you look back once the pressure and stress of promotion race is done, and you go, if we've gone up, you go, in hindsight, you can really appreciate those kind of almost promotion winning games where you go, like, those are the sorts of performances that really, showed that we'd clicked into place. So yeah, absolutely. Like this is that sort of game. A lot of water to go under the bridge to see if we can make it come May. But I think this is a really good, I think if you're a City supporter and you're not starting to get genuinely excited, what's the point of watching football? You've got to feel that excitement and that optimism at some point. I think even Mike in our chat is starting to swing.
Yeah, he's getting around it. That's a good. Yeah, that's yeah. Oh, sorry. I was just thinking. Was that season that you were just talking about? Was that the
2020, 2021 under McCann?
Was that one of the games? What's his name? Eves. He got a triple. He got a hat trick. Was it that season?
So. Yeah.
The season after. But yeah, I do remember that. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, everything's sort of feeling great.
Yeah. I was just going to say the only other big talking point from this game happened right at the end with Osmaich's red card for the headbutt on Lundstrom. And the subsequent melee. It's a really interesting one because I kind of think we've been involved in a few. So I was like, surely it's at least partly our fault. But then reading a lot of the Preston comments, apparently their goalkeeping coach or set piece coach or whoever it was, apparently has a lot of priors of trying to like start fights with opposition coaches. So apparently he was offering our goalkeeper coach for a fight down the tunnel or something like that, which I was like, geez, don't know what's going on there. But yeah, an all-in melee to finish the game.
They hate to see the underdog winning because we are the underdog, I guess, looking back at, where we placed last season. Team's probably a bit annoyed that we're doing so well, but I don't know. Keep the haters hating. It was a funny altercation, though, that, like, usually everyone's trying to be an adult about it, but there was a lot of people running in and, like, I didn't see, like, fists thrown too much or anything, but, people are flailing their arms around and getting between each other. And
but
kind of fun.
No one going near Jurkovic. I think they were all very sensible and left Jurkovic alone.
Yep. I did see that Miller was also, like, one of the bigger ones. He was sort of trying to calm down the Preston team a bit more. I'm guessing because he came from there and he knows them pretty well. But yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. I don't know what you do if you're a Preston supporter with Osmaich. I think he's been banned for spitting, banned for racist abuse, now getting banned for a headbutt. Like, you just get him out of the club.
Every comment I've seen from a Preston fan is just like saying he needs to go. So wonder what happens.
Yeah. Did you have votes for this game?
I did. What do I got? 3. I'm going to go Miller for 3 just because he seemed awesome. I'm going to go Ollie for 2 just because bicycle kick, awesome. And I was kind of torn on 1, whether I go Famao or Pandor or Hirakawa. I'm going to go Hirakawa because second touch. First game.
Nice.
Very excited for him. And like you said before, when he had to shift over to the left, I think that was when Gelhardt came on.
Yeah.
Geller gave him the instruction, I'm guessing, coming down from the top, that he needed to go shift to the left. I think, yeah, seems like he can play not everywhere yet, but he's very adaptable, and that's good for us. I don't know why Bristol loaned him out, but maybe there's reasons.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one when you're loaning him to a club doing better off than you. But anyway, not complaining. Joff coming on. I thought. Had I go? No, it's okay. I had Famo for the 3 votes. I thought he was terrific. Got his goal. Really all round great display from him. And then agreed with you on I had McBurney for the 2 and Hirakawa for the 1. I couldn't go past Hirakawa on debut, getting the assist and looking really bright on both sides. But I was just going to say. I thought Joff as well, coming back from his injury, it looked like he hadn't been away. Like his touch, his light-footedness to dance around defenders was just, incredible. So really excited to see him back in the side and see what he can do for us. Will be great.
100%.
And we had Cam in the comments who was saying, yeah, so apparently Osmarch was just back from a 10-game ban out. So, that's what you love to see. Just get back from a suspension and straight back out again. Okay. Well, in terms of transfer news, we sort of covered, we've already talked about Hirakawa anyway. It sounds as if Palmer is having his medical currently ahead of a loan move to Luton, which I presume will then allow Collier to come in. What's your thoughts on Palmer leaving? If you have any.
I don't know. I think he had some, just sort of from what I remember how he was playing, like Sparks last season, I thought. But yeah, I don't know. If we're just trying to make space at the moment, then that might be in our favour, but I don't have too many thoughts around it.
Yeah, I think he's one who's, he's not contributed a whole, like when he has, he's one of those ones where like if he has a great game, it can be a really good game. Like I remember the Wrexham game in the Cup where he looked really good, and you think like if that's the level of performance you can get from him, but everything I understand about his time at Coventry and previous clubs is that he's just a really inconsistent player. So I'm not unhappy to see him go. And I think even you sort of think back to early in the season where he and Jurkiewicz had a bit of a falling out, that he was perhaps not happy not getting much game time. Seemed to change his tune a bit because, I think a lot of players go, oh, hang on, we're in with a chance of promotion here. Maybe I do want to stay. And all of a sudden you could be a Premier League player in a couple of months. So I'm sure that's sort of part of the thinking. But I think, realistically, he's on a reasonable wage, not getting game time. It makes sense to ship him out to Luton and see what we can do with that space and that money, I suppose.
He sort of reminded me at points last season of Seri a little bit, with just like how sometimes if he has a good game, he can really control like the midfield a lot. But yeah, I guess haven't really seen that much this season. So bit of shame.
No. Fair shout. The only other thing to touch on then is Semi Ajayi's injury whilst off at AFCON. It's a really difficult one because you fully appreciate that for these players, or for any player really going to represent your country at a major competition is a really significant one. My only frustration with it would come from the fact that this is a third place playoff game, which typically, maybe not always, but typically players just kind of go like, what's the point in playing? And it's, you're playing for third place. To get an injury in the 90th minute of that game, having played 120 minutes in the semi-final, I just kind of go, did he really have to play the full game?
I didn't realize it was the 90th minute.
Right at the end.
Classic. Yeah, that's not fun.
Out for 2 months.
2 months, yeah, wow.
The technical difficulty that we had earlier was because Dan was meant to be coming on the podcast, but heard the news and punched his laptop. I've used that joke already, but I'll use it again. It's fine.
I like it. That's good. That's fine.
But yeah, look, so out for 2 months. It's a bit of a shame. Obviously, if we can get Giles back and fit soon, then it means that Famo can be that depth option because obviously, Egan went off injured against Preston this morning. Hopefully, just a knock or something like that, and hopefully he's fine for Swansea. But if he's out for any length of time alongside Jaya, then it does start to test the depth a little bit.
Yeah. How long has Giles got left?
Or I think end of January. Yeah, I think he's back for like Blackburn, which is the game after next. Well, he's supposed to be. Like, you never know if that's the reality. But yeah, I think he's not too far off. I think Giles. So obviously, Gelhardt's back now. Lundstrom's back now. Giles is back soon, and then Balumi and Matazo out, and Jarby out for a while. So sort of all of a sudden we don't have too many injuries. Touch wood that Egan's okay, and I don't actually know what's the latest with Joseph, but injury list is starting to look a whole lot better. Maybe I did say in the chat today that I'll be excited for promotion if we don't have any more serious injuries. And about 2 hours later, we got the news about Ajayi. So we'll see what happens. Okay, well, let's wrap things up and chat Swansea. So we've got Swansea this weekend. Will be nice to have a midweek next week without a game just to rest up some players, as we've just been talking about the injuries. From an Australian perspective, this game, it's still at 2 a.m, but it is the beIN Sports game, which does mean that it will be up on replay first thing Sunday morning. So for myself, probably, I might watch a replay Sunday morning at a much more reasonable hour of 7 a.m. or something like that, rather than getting up at 2 a.m. But I also like to think that because we're sitting there in the top 6 now, we might be starting to get a bit more TV attention potentially.
It seems like it. I know we got heaps under. I felt like we got a lot under Preston.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we got heaps then. So they don't set it. Oh, I guess they probably just like have the outlook for the next, however many fixtures. I'm guessing.
It's a good question. I think for these 2 a.m. games, I wouldn't actually be shocked if they only pick them like the week of. Because I could be wrong, but like when you look at
like 11:30 sometimes.
So the 11:30. So I think that's the 11:30 ones and the Friday ones are like essentially like the Sky Sports games. So they're televised in the UK as well. But the 2 a.m. game, or like the equivalent of 3 p.m., is not televised in England, but it's televised internationally. So I have a feeling they pick those games, if not that week, certainly within like maybe 2 weeks of the game, which I guess makes sense from the perspective that you kind of go, well, let's pick a game as close to kickoff as possible where we can pick the best game or a game with a bit of narrative.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But anyway, feelings for this game. So Swansea sitting in 16th place. Vitor Matos came in as manager, has sort of got them going a little bit. I think they've got 2 wins in their last 5, although I think they did win this morning, so make that 3 wins in their last 5.
3 in the last 5. They won this morning. Before that was a draw, and before that was a loss.
And it crept up on me, but I think their striker is actually now the top scorer in the division.
Oh, true.
Whose name has is it Vopotnik? I think I'll look it up because that name's
Zan Vopotnik.
Yeah, Vopotnik.
Yeah, 13 goals. I don't know how many that is. I don't know. I should look that up. I should have these figures on me.
No, that's all good. I think Ollie's on 10. I have a small bet on Ollie for Golden Boots. I always try and keep an eye on who's leading that. And I saw this morning that Vopotnik had sort of jumped out in front on 13. So, not a terrible side. Like they're sitting in 13th. I wouldn't say, 16th. Actually, what are they now? That would have been before this morning. But, not a terrible side. So you sort of think as much as it's a really 15th, golden opportunity, 15th, there you go. Golden opportunity to really sort of kick on and make that 3 wins in a row. Not a side to really take lightly.
No, I'd be gunning for it, I think. I think, I don't want to put too much pressure on ourselves by saying, anything but a win is a fail. But, I don't know. I think with the injuries, who's coming back next week? Was it who'd you say before?
Well, Gelhart's potentially going to start. I think Giles is probably the week after against Blackburn. But you're starting to look at potentially guys like Hirakawa might start. Gelhart could start. Hopefully Egan's not too bad. I don't know what's happening with Joseph, but starting to look at all that. I don't know what's happening with Destan, for example. I think he's had some sort of knee injury, so he's off somewhere. But
that's right.
Squad's as fit as it has been.
Yeah, we'll win. We'll win.
What sort of scoreline you reckon?
I don't know. I've been really shooting myself in the foot this season by saying 1-1 for everything. So I'm going to go back to the old faithful of 3-0.
Oh, my old faithful this season, I'm going to go with City to win 2-1. I've sort of been predicting 2-1 in most of our games. It feels like it's, both sides score. We just score slightly more. We did have the 2-2 with them earlier in the season where Egan scored in like the 97th minute to equalise. So maybe it's a repeat of that one. The other side we had a 2-2 with early in the season in Preston. We just beat 3-0. So hopefully if we can repeat that and make it 3-0 against Swansea as well, that would be great. But as I said earlier, I think like it's a really exciting time for City. We've got Swansea next. We've got Blackburn and a few other games like that afterwards, which are, eminently winnable games. And we just, we're in and around the playoff places where, making a real fist for even the automatics at this stage. So, what's not to love?
Oh, it's awesome.
It's awesome. Absolutely. Well, look, thanks for joining me for this one, Dill.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem at all. And thanks everyone for listening in. Apologies for the technical delays earlier. We got there in the end to review 2 really great fixtures for City. So we'll be back this time next week to talk Swansea. And until then, come on, City.